a nuclear reservation, which is in Washington State, and served as the location where they produced all the plutonium that went into our nuclear bomb that we dropped on Nagasaki, Japan. So it was a big secret for many, many years that this plutonium production was going on. Now it's in a cleanup phase. So because of, our national goals and then the Cold War and building up our nuclear arsenal, what's left behind is a huge contaminated mess in Washington State called Hanford. And there's 56 million gallons of nuclear sludge sitting in underground tanks. And the tanks are getting old, they're leaking, and they don't have a system yet to permanently dispose of it. So we have the beautiful Columbia River running through Washington State, and it's right by Hanford. And the fear is that this nuclear waste is going to leak and get into the river and pollute our food chain, our irrigation, our water, and so forth. And of course, human health is at risk as well. Washington River Protection Solutions, or WRPS. The federal government pays that company a lot of money to keep the public safe from millions of gallons of radioactive waste at Hanford. But we've found WRPS looked the other way when faced with scientific evidence that they had a major problem on their hands.
Hanford is the most contaminated facility in the United States and one of the top 10 in the world.
Radioactive and chemically lethal sludge oozing out of the main tank. Strontium-90, plutonium, cesium-137, and more. But Fletcher told the policy advisors he didn't know what it was yet.
Susannah Frame from King TV, and we've been trying to get... Are you really not going to answer any of our questions?
They just chose not to do anything.
Hanford's Dirty Secrets came to me in a very unusual way. I got a 2-line direct message on Facebook from a guy that I went to high school with that I hadn't seen in 30 years. And it said, if you want to know what's really going on at Hanford, give me a call, Michael. I was shocked at what he was telling me, which we proved to be true, that for a year, the company that he worked for, the government contractor that he worked for, had been hiding the fact that for the first time ever, they had a double shell underground nuclear tank leaking, and that the company ignored the signs, they ignored their own experts, they ignored scientific evidence, and went on their merry way collecting millions of dollars in bonus money and calling it rainwater when it was really nuclear sludge. So because of that 2-line Facebook message, I was able to produce, I think we did at least 20 stories on that.
Very simply put, it's going into the environment. There is nowhere else for it to go.
This tank is holding waste that is so toxic that if it were to eat through its outer shell and reach the nearby Columbia River, it would contaminate irrigation water, crops, salmon, our food chain, not for months, but for hundreds of years to come.
How does your story or series of stories embody what Peabody stands for?
Well, they've said many, many times stories that matter, and I feel like we were able to make some differences. The head of the government contractor abruptly resigned about 9 days into the stories that we were airing. So they have some new leadership there. Our governor has gotten involved. There's some other investigations going on a very high level that I'm not really supposed to talk about. Anyway, it matters. It matters for our region, it matters for our environment, and it matters for the workers out there who are at risk.